A shocking revelation threatens to shatter our lover's world like a priceless vase dropped on marble floors. Brace for impact, listeners, because this bombshell is about to hit harder than a caipirinha on an empty stomach. Chapter 10. Shattered Canvas. The Copacabana Palace Hotel loomed before Camila, its Art Deco facade gleaming in the afternoon sun. She clutched her portfolio tighter, feeling woefully out of place among the well-heeled tourists and business people streaming through the ornate doors. Mariana's words echoed in her mind. "This is your chance, girl. Don't mess it up." Taking a deep breath, Camila stepped into the cool, marble-lined lobby. She spotted Mariana immediately, deep in conversation with a tall, distinguished-looking man. As Camila approached, she caught snippets of their discussion.
Absolutely captivating work. Raw yet sophisticated.
The man was saying, his English tinged with a New York accent. Mariana beamed as she saw Camila.
Ah, here she is now. Camila, darling, meet George Harrington. He's the curator I told you about, from the Metropolis Gallery in New York.
Camilla's stomach fluttered with a mixture of excitement and anxiety as she shook George's hand.
It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Harrington.
George's eyes lit up.
The honor is mine, Ms. Santos. Your Urban Symphony series has caused quite a stir in my circle. I'm very interested in commissioning a new series for our upcoming Emerging Voices exhibition.
As George outlined his vision for the commission, Camila felt a growing sense of unease. He spoke of gentrification, of the quaint charm of the favelas, of capturing the exotic energy of Rio.
We want something that will really shock our New York audience,
George said, his eyes gleaming.
Show them the gritty reality of life in the favelas, but with a touch of hope. Redemption, you know?
Camilla's throat tightened. Is that how they saw her work? As some kind of poverty porn? Before she could respond, a familiar voice cut through the lobby.
Camila?
She turned to see Maxim striding towards them, a look of surprise on his face. He was impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, a stark contrast to her simple sundress.
Maxim, what are you doing here?
Camila asked, confusion and joy warring within her. His eyes flicked to George and Mariana before returning to her.
I had a meeting with a collector. I didn't realize you'd be here.
George cleared his throat.
Mr. Volkov, what a pleasant surprise. I didn't know you were acquainted with Ms. Santos.
Maxim's expression tightened almost imperceptibly.
We've crossed paths in the local art scene.
The casual dismissal stung more than Camila expected. She turned back to George, forcing a smile.
You were saying about the commission.
As George launched back into his pitch, Camila was acutely aware of Maxim's presence just behind her. She could feel the heat radiating from him, could smell the faint trace of his cologne.
Of course, we'd need you in New York for at least 6 months to complete the series.
George was saying.
All expenses paid naturally, and the exposure would be invaluable.
Camilla's mind reeled. 6 months in New York? Leave Rio? Leave everything she knew?
That's a very generous offer, Mr. Harrington.
She managed. George beamed.
Excellent. I'll have my assistant draw up the contracts. We'll need to move quickly to meet our deadline.
As George excused himself to make a call, Mariana gripped Camilla's arm.
Girl, this is it. Your ticket to the big leagues. Don't let anything hold you back.
Camila nodded numbly, her eyes drifting to Maxim. He stood a few feet away, his face an unreadable mask.
Maxim,
She said softly, stepping towards him.
can we talk?
He nodded curtly, guiding her to a quiet corner of the lobby.
Congratulations.
He said, his voice carefully neutral.
New York is a big opportunity.
Camila searched his face, looking for any hint of the warmth she'd seen at the gallery opening.
I haven't accepted yet. I wanted to talk to you first, about us.
Something flashed in Maxim's eyes. Pain? Fear? Before his mask slipped back into place.
There is no us, Camila. We're from different worlds. This opportunity proves that.
His words hit her like a physical blow.
But I thought, after the gallery,
Maxim's jaw tightened.
The gallery was a mistake. I let myself get carried away. But the reality is, you belong in New York, making a name for yourself. And I have obligations here that I can't walk away from.
Camila felt tears pricking her eyes.
obligations? Maxim, what aren't you telling me?
He looked away, his shoulders tense.
It's complicated. There are aspects of my work, my life, that you wouldn't understand, that you shouldn't have to understand.
Anger flared in Camilla's chest, cutting through the hurt.
So that's it? You decide what I can and can't understand? What happened to seeing the real me, to valuing my perspective?
Maxim's eyes met hers, and for a moment she saw a glimmer of the connection they'd shared. But then it was gone, replaced by cold determination.
I'm sorry, Camila. This is for the best. Take the New York offer. Become the artist I know you can be.
With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Camila standing alone in the opulent lobby, feeling more lost and out of place than ever. She barely registered George's return, his excited chatter about contracts and timelines washing over her. All she could focus on was the growing chasm in her chest, the feeling that she was being torn in two. New York beckoned, offering fame, fortune, and artistic recognition. But at what cost? Would she be selling out, creating sanitized versions of her community's struggles for wealthy patrons to gawk at? And Maxim? Had it all been a lie? A fleeting fantasy born of champagne and moonlight? As she left the hotel, portfolio clutched to her chest like a shield, Camila felt as though she were walking on quicksand. Every step threatened to pull her under, to drown her in doubt and fear and shattered dreams. The tiny fire extinguisher charm on her bracelet caught the fading sunlight, a bitter reminder of possibilities now burned to ash. Camila unclasped the bracelet, letting it dangle from her fingers for a moment before dropping it into a nearby trash can. She had decisions to make, a future to shape. But in that moment, standing on the glittering sidewalks of Copacabana, Camila Santos had never felt more alone, more unsure of who she was or where she belonged. The canvas of her life, once so vividly painted with hope and possibility, now seemed a muddied mess of conflicting colors and broken lines. How could she possibly create beauty from such chaos? Only time would tell. But as the sun set over Rio, casting long shadows across the city she both loved and longed to escape, Camila couldn't shake the feeling that no matter what choice she made, something precious would be lost forever.